folks. It's Sunday morning, and after a lovely thrash racing a couple of 360 Ferraris on a little Ferrari run, I finally doing fast gear changes and pressing the clutch fast and quick. The weakness in my master cylinder has finally shown itself. I knew it was going to go because the clutch pedal was starting to get a little bit rough at the bottom of its travel. I've drained the fluid using a syringe, so I've basically just emptied out this container using the syringe, and the next thing I've got to do is undo the pipe here. So I've put a bit of WD on it and just there you go, undo it, and oh right, okay, so it's tightening up. Yeah, it's what I thought it would do. So basically I've just got to wiggle it to loosen it. If you force it, you're going to break it. Either strip the thread on the nut, which means you've got to so I'm just doing this just to loosen it. If you strip the thread, then you've got to cut your cut your clutch pipe and then re-flare it, but of course it will be too short. In other words, if you strip the threads off the nut, actually it's coming undone now. If you strip the threads off the nut, then you're in trouble, because then you've got to splice it further down because the pipe will be too short. You'll see what I mean in a sec when I get this thing off. Now it's coming undone quite easily now. So wiggle it backwards and forwards, and that's the same with anything. If you're trying to get a nut undone, rather than just crank away at it and break the damn thing, you know, sometimes it doesn't matter, but if it's connected to something like a bracket or part of the car, there you go, off it comes. So you can see it's flared here. If you take all the thread off that because you're impatient and undo it aggressively, then you've got to basically replace that. And if you replace that, the only way to get it off is to cut the end off of that. And you cut the end off of that, and you've got to put a new one on, which means the pipe is going to be too short, which means that somewhere inside the front of the car you're going to have to put a splicer in. You can put a splicer in there, but that's not very clever really. You don't want to be doing that. So try and preserve that fitting if you can. Now there are two nuts around the back here. I'm not going to move the camera, I'm just going to undo those. And that's it. Okay, so now I haven't undone the pedal from inside. I've got to do that next, but I'm just going to wiggle things around a bit and see how we get on. So the next thing is to get inside. That's going to be difficult to film that, but we'll see how we get on. Okay, so the next thing is to take out the seat. Makes things a lot easier because you've got to get right underneath, and even then I suspect it's going to be a bit tricky. Okay. Now you can actually see that someone's added wooden seat boosters at some stage, these, to make the seat higher. So yeah, they're okay. So now we can get into the footwell. That's the idea. Now, doing it is one thing, filming it is going to be even worse. So here's the familiar view in the Ferrari. Now if I come round, and you're under the steering wheel here, you come round and you'll see I've literally got no room in here. Let me just take that lens hood off. Okay. So there's underneath. Now I don't even know if you can see this because I cannot look through the viewfinder, but that assembly there's the pedal for the clutch. Now you'll see when I press the clutch, there it is. Now it's pressing easy because there's no fluid in it. You can see it's got like a double actuator that it goes across like that and operates that mechanism there, which is on a spring. And then the actual master cylinder is there. Now you'll see I've taken the clip off. I don't know if it's even in view, but there it is. So it's that plunger there, and I'm going to push it out.
So you can see now, hopefully, it's disconnected. There it is. So now when I move the pedal, you'll see, there you go, that it's not connected. So the next thing we're going to do is pull the master cylinder out from outside.
Now obviously, when you're messing around with brake fluid, you've got to be kind of careful. You don't want to get it on the paintwork or anything like that. So my lovely assistant, Emily, who's busy doing her own car, will give me a hand. Okay, darling, she'll just film that. Oh, there you go. Got it. Okay, there you go. So, as I pull it out, I don't know, you're getting that in? Yeah. As I pull it out, you'll see there's the pin that we did from inside, undid from inside. There it is. Leave that, always put that in the top, and then it's got a little hole that goes through with a split pin that goes through there. So when we put it back in, and then from the inside we push it up like that, slide the pedal into it, and then just wiggle it around until it drops, and then put the split pin through. And we do that all inside the wheel well. But there's the old master cylinder for the clutch. So the next thing is to remove this tank from here and then put it on the new one and hope it doesn't break the reservoir. It shouldn't do it. There should be rubbers in there, but let's see how we get on. So the next thing is to remove this reservoir from the master cylinder. You've got to do that carefully because you can overstress the plastic. So you have to also be careful that you don't spray fluid everywhere, so don't do it by the car. I've cheated, I've actually undone it already, but what you do is you give a firm wiggle and pull, but you pull it square, so you pull it straight up. Try not to give it too much of that movement. If you do that, if you wiggle it around too much, you will stress the plastic. So just give it the smallest amount of wiggle, only like literally a few millimeters, but more pull than anything, and then it will come off, and you see, there you go. So yeah, 9.5. So if I made it a little bit more, say 10, would that be too much? I would have thought that would give me a nice bit more travel. So at the moment it's set to, I tell you what, let's split the difference. It's actually set, this one's actually set to, from centre to there, oh, it is actually set at 10. So yeah, I think 10's probably okay. I'm going to chicken out a bit. I'm just going to go in a little tiny bit. Let's go in a little tiny bit. There you go, a little bit less than 10. Okay, so I'm just going to lock that up against there. There we go, nice and tight, that's it. And that's now ready to go in the car, but we've got to do that one first. So let's take that out first. Because it's an angle, I can't, there we go, got it. Right, so there we are, just like the old one. I'll put that back in the box. I'm doing this in a bit of a get down and dirty way. I've never done one of these before on a Ferrari, so obviously I've done them on other cars, they're all the same really, but so I'm just making it up as I go really. But there you go, Super Performance one looks exactly the same. The only thing, however, I've just noticed is that this one has cutouts and this one doesn't. Our bottle here, our reservoir, has these two nodules here. It looks like, oh dear, here we go. So it's actually a different bore. Look at that. You see, it's easy. Initially you look at it and you think, oh, it's the same. It's not, it's completely different. So now we've got a little challenge on our hands. What are we going to do? I would say now I've got to machine that out. That is going to be a pain in the arse. Yeah, because I don't want debris to go down that hole. I don't really want to start taking this apart, but I've got no choice. Unless I can, you know, unless I can plug those holes somehow and then do my machine work, and then, oh, this is going to be a pain. I'm almost considering maybe making an adapter to go in there. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make an adapter that slides in there, and then this plugs into that adapter. And I think I shall make it out of a piece of nylon or something like that, because then the nylon is going to give me some bite, some grip, so I can push that into there and then push that into there. I'm going to check that when I offer it up there'll be enough clearance, so at least I can put this in the car for now. and get it all connected up, and then it's just a matter of finding a way of attaching that reservoir. Here is the master cylinder for the clutch. I've put a thing in there to stop debris going in there. As we found out earlier, and I'm literally doing this live as I'm doing it, you know, I'm doing it, so I'm discovering things at the same time as you guys are on this video. So, or at least that fits. So we put our pin back in, okay, ready to go inside. You have to bear in mind that these cars, you know, when you have bits for them, you know, they were made 30 years ago. You can't expect the manufacturer to actually, you know, keep all the parts for them, etc. I mean, they get discontinued and things like that and get improved. And so, you know, this is what happens. I mean, I've now just found out something else, that, look at that. There's threads on there. There's threads on there. So I'm going to have to drill this. Since we're only drilling out the threads, I don't really need to pillar drill it. I'm just put it in a vise. I put some vice guards on that are made of aluminium, so as not to damage the casing. I haven't cranked it up really hard. I've just got it tight enough just to hold the job. The vice isn't just mounted on the carpet because it's easier for me to video it out here. And then I'm just going to drill it out, just drill out the threads, and then it'll go straight on. Obviously I'm going to try and stay away from the rubber, obviously, so I'll just drill it out and then we're good to go. Nice sharp drill, goes straight through the threads, no problem. And there you go. And we'll just clean off the excess. Like I say, I've protected it, look, no marks on it, which is good. This is all bunged up. I'll just brush all that off, put a little bit of grease around there so it slides in the hole, and we're away. Okay, so we've put grease on there, a bit of grease on there, put that pin in, and now we just offer it up. I've dusted off all the debris from the drilling, and we just offer it up, and hopefully it'll go in this time. Yes, it does. Perfect, there you go. Next thing, obviously keep that pipe down there, is put that pipe in there. It's interesting, it's fluid still in there, obviously, it can't go anywhere. So it'd be quite nice, actually, probably won't need, well, it will need bleeding, but let's see how much it does. Shouldn't be an awful lot of air in the system. Okay, take that little bung out, which obviously protects that, stops debris getting in there, and then we can just, I'm going to leave it loose so I can maneuver this around a little bit. Here's something worth noting. Before you actually push that in, it's worth actually just screwing that fitting in, because if you've got a bit of movement here and you can wiggle it around, you can feel the thread bite and feel it screwing into the actual unit. If you push that unit in first and put this in and it doesn't line up, first of all, you haven't got much movement, so you can't find the threads and feel them bite, and then you're in danger of, when you put a spanner on there, just stripping either the nut itself or the inside of this, and then you're in a whole world of hurt. So the best thing to do is actually get it in the hole first, get it so it's biting in nicely, which it is, and then put it in there. So I'm just going to do that right now. Okay, I've just grabbed my spanner, so I'm just going to wiggle this just gently. Now there's hardly any pressure needed to do this. It's like, it will almost look just with the lightest of, just with my finger pressing it. So it's doing up nicely. I can feel it biting. The play in the tube, because the tube has been pushed into the unit, is getting less and less. The going is easy, which is what you'd expect. If it's tightening up or doing anything strange at all, stop. Don't force it, because if you strip it out, it'll leak. And the other thing is, of course, one of the threads will have gone, and then you've either into a new slave cylinder, a master cylinder again, or you've got to cut that pipe and reflare it with a new nut on and all that nonsense. So you don't want to get into any of that. And I'll just tighten that up now. The next thing is to put these nuts on, and then we're in business. There we go. That's it. Pipes on. All I've got to do is sort that reservoir out. It's fair to say that this is a later master cylinder for a clutch, I bet, you know, so it's probably fine on the 3.2s, etc. So this is an earlier car, this is an 83. So, you know, fair enough. It's things are going to be slightly different. You just accept things like that.
So here we are back inside again, and just in the footwell. I'm just positioning the camera so you can see there is the new connector, the new master cylinder, and you can see the pin sticking out, so I've just got to push that pin out, not all the way because it's going to be hard to get it back in again, so I'm just going to push it sort of halfway out and then jiggle around and get it in through that hole there. You can see me moving it there. See it moving? Hopefully you can see it moving. There it is.
To pull the pin through from the master cylinder into the clutch pedal lever, I made this really rubbishy looking little tool. Basically what you do is you go up over the back and hook the pin and then pull it down and pull it through. So in the next shot you'll see the pin is now engaged and in its rightful place.
So there's the pin, and you can see there's that little tool which I just put in up the back and then pulled down and pulled the pin through like that, which then goes right the way through the hole, and that's how you do it. You just get it in behind and pull it down as you wiggle the pedal. So if I wiggle the pedal, you can see there it is, like moving. Oops, there it is moving there, you see. Obviously it moves easily because there's no fluid in there at the moment.
Well, after a couple of failed attempts to find something around the house that would work, i.e. The handle of a screwdriver is a nice piece of plastic, although it obviously wasn't because it had a hole in it, and that other thing that I had, I've decided to go out and try and find something fit for the job. The idea being, I thought about a nylon rolling pin, so and I found one. I found a little tiny one. That's a little tiny nylon rolling pin, and that will be perfect. It's a nice material. It'll be just right for doing what I want to do, so that's what I'm going to use. I even found a bigger one as well. There's a nice big one, so that should last me a hell of a long time to make any other bits or anything else I want to do. So let's see how we get on with this bit. Right, looking good. It's starting to get there. You can see the hole to take the tank. It's still not quite big enough and not deep enough yet, and that's the bit that's going to press into the master cylinder. So see, yeah, it's getting there. Yeah, that's pretty good. That'll do it. So the final thing is just to tap this into place, which I've done partially until it sounds like it's gone fully home, which it has done. And then get the tank, which I have, as a safety, just put a little bit of PTFE on there as well, and we are good to go. There we go. That's it, it's in the locating slots. And now it's just a case of, that's it, filling it up. Next I just have to bleed it, and then that's it. So there you go, there's the tank in situ, sitting neatly on top of the adapter ring that I made. It's all press fit together, there's no leaks or anything like that. Obviously the machining was relatively straightforward, but you want it to be an interference fit so it all pops together nicely. It would be useful for Super Performance to actually make that part, but they don't as yet. Like I say, it's not complicated. So anyway, hopefully that's inspired you folks. It's how to do the master cylinder on your clutch. Thanks for watching.